Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are on this pale blue dot that we all live on. My name is Adam-Antium, you're the audience, and you're listening to AAUTZM podcasts. I'd like to thank you all from the bottom of my being for taking the time to engage in this podcast. The feedback that I get from you guys is really awesome, and you're the reason why I do this. So let's get together and make the world a better place, shall we? But anyway, the usual announcement for those of you listening to this on YouTube right now, my podcast also exists on talkshoe.com. If you look down in the video description below, you'll find the link to the call series where I upload the full podcast. And there you can listen to them and download the MP3s completely for free, because I don't charge for anything that I do. But anyway, that's for those who want to do that, because I have a few fans who sort of listen to it while they're driving or doing the household chores or whatever, which is strange because that's what I do. But yeah, the usual plug that I give is for the Zeitgeist Movement Defined. For those of you who don't know what this is, it's actually the orientation guide for the Zeitgeist Movement as well. And it's for those of you who want to know exactly what the Zeitgeist Movement actually advocates, what we realise, what we value, what we're aiming towards, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it. If you want to know what we're about, that will give you the definitive answer. So if you go to www.thezeitgeistmovement.com/orientation, you can find all the ways you can get hold of a copy. If you want a physical paperback copy, you can buy one at Amazon or Lulu.com. And also, if you don't want to pay for something like that, there's a link where you can download it for free in PDF format. So it's not like we're out to make a buck, is it? But anyway, as the title suggests, I'm going to be covering my experience of the Pagan Pride Festival, where I also gave a talk as well, and I'm going to be getting into that later on. I mean, the video for the talk is uploading onto YouTube as we speak. But my experience of the festival was just phenomenal. It was one of the best festivals I've ever been to. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but I'm going to be getting into the details of that later on. And one more personal announcement: towards the end of August, I'm going to be beginning the principal photography on my third and final short film entitled Chapter 3 Threshold. It's going to be a very interesting and quite challenging piece, to say the least. But I'm also going to be composing and writing an actual song that will basically act as the title song for the trilogy itself. Some of it's going to appear in the film, but I'm also going to be doing a full-length song that I will also upload to YouTube. I'm currently in talks with a very awesome and talented female vocalist who also lives here in the UK. Not going to give her name away just yet because I haven't even written the song yet. So I'll just leave that for you guys to wonder about. But on with the sponsorship situation. It is my unfortunate task to inform you that Star Spangled Service is now no longer our sponsor, as it transpired that the elusive bald Caucasian man has jumped in yet again, and I'm starting to suspect that his motives might not be so nefarious after all. In fact, if it wasn't for this phantom sponsor destroyer, I would actually probably be bankrupt or even in prison. But either way, he has to be tracked down. All right? I mean, the story this time is that he sent a computer virus to Star Spangled Service's server, and it publicised all the financial records, translated into simplified and colourful graphics onto the website Tumblr, and as such, actually went unnoticed until the Tumblr account actually came under fire from Anonymous, who had translated the images and actually extrapolated the original records. But let me tell you, these guys, they do their personal parties just like how they do their funerals, but they go all out, to put it mildly. I mean, they would put the Bohemian Grove to shame. But anyway, life goes on. So this podcast is brought to you by the Dark Age Calendar. The calendar that doesn't herald the future as such, but rather takes you on a roller coaster ride through the entire collapse of civilization due to ignorance, bigotry, apathy and scientific illiteracy, and to track the decline of human knowledge. And in fact, to prepare us for such reverted living, this calendar is etched onto stone tablets. Never mind that newfangled iPad doodah. We are going retro, okay? Don't rage against the dying of the light. Embrace the coming ignorance with style. Okay, we also have a couple of quotes from pleased customers. There's Jeff from Shepherd's Bush, and he says, there are a bunch of people who are entering a new dark age. I find it persuading depending on my mood. The other quote is from Sophie from Leicester, and she says, sometimes I find it difficult to cope with knowledge, so I like to look back as well. The Dark Age calendar really showed me the way. But anyway, there's, as you can tell, I mean, you need this. So the best thing to do is visit your local cave and see if there's a branch near you. We got to start walking the walk every day for this service, just like we got to do for everything else. Okay, we got to bring back the actual meaning of retarded and take pride in that as a defining characteristic of our species. But anyway, that's the commercials out of the way. So, the topic, Pagan Pride 2014 in Nottingham. Wow. It was a damn awesome experience. When I first got there, I mean, I knew that I was going to be giving a talk at 5 p.m. at one of the speakers' forums. But when I got there, I thought, well, I can't just stand around. Let's help. So I was made a marshal. So I was one of the guys, helping direct the traders in. And I think we had something like over 60 traders there. It's pretty damn cool. But yeah, there was that. Walking around thinking, oh, I've got to direct traffic. Oh, what do I do? Because there's certain traders that needed flat ground, obviously, because some of them were dealing with delicate goods. But yeah, that was interesting. What else happened after I finished marshalling? It was really a case of trying to keep the Marquis together. Because we had two sort of big rectangular white marquees for the two speakers' forums. But the thing is, I don't think we had enough pegs for the feet of the marquee. So I think each of the legs had one peg in it, and the wind was getting up and just completely taking them apart. So I was going around with string and gaffer tape. Just trying to keep these things together. I managed to be able to secure Speakers Forum 1, but as what was strangely happening with the forum that I was going to be speaking at some point during the day, the marquee just completely fell apart, and they just decided to take it apart, put it to one side, just pile up all the parts of it to one side, and the speakers would just sit on, and speakers in the audience would just sit on a big tarp. So, but that, it's ironic that actually happened, because that actually gave me just one more piece of ammunition, because that is an example of planned obsolescence. The materials that the marquee is made of, because it's hollow metal tubes, hollow plastic fittings, and just tarps over it. There was guide ropes, but it's not the sort of thing that you would reliably use as any kind of shelter or anything like that, especially in windy conditions. So that's one thing that sort of fed in to my talk, and I'll go into that, and I'll probably allude to that later on. But yeah, it was just a case of just helping these guys out, because they had their hands full. They're all volunteers, and as was I. So it was good to sort of help out there. By about midday, which is normally where when I would normally start this if I was out in the town centre, I decided to go around the festival with my free hugs sign. And let me tell you, I think I've broken my personal best, and I gave out 174 hugs. And, loads of people took pictures of me, and, people were so receptive to the idea of free hugs, because obviously they're pagans. They're generally very, very nice people. But there's more people in the pagan community who I would call really awesome people than general society, okay, average society. But yeah, it was really interesting going around to the different stalls, and I was just making eye contact with people. People were smiling, and there was just this positive energy around, because everyone was doing things that they really, really love doing, and and as a result, people are more amenable to the idea of free hugs. So there's that. Also, when I was walking around, I got talking to a few interesting people. One of which this is kind of disappointing, because this is something that I would expect by now is something that hopefully we've grown out of. It came when I was giving hugs to the people at the Greenpeace stall, and I got talking to one of the ladies there, because they were doing this thing against Lego, because I think in some of the some of the oil wells or something, or something. So basically, there's some business agreement between Lego and some. Oh yeah, because I think it's BP's petrol stations. That's the one. I haven't checked these details, because to me it doesn't really matter, because it sounds to me, even if it is true, then that's pretty reasonable, because Lego is made out of plastic. What's plastic made from? Oil. So it's sort of like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours scenario. But yeah, there was that. I got talking to the woman there, and we were talking about those different things, and I brought it onto the idea of sustainability to sort of solve these kinds of issues, and it was quite disheartening, because she fell to the same fallacy that a lot of people fall to when people talk to them about technology, and she was I think she was saying more or less that technology is quite negative, because whenever we apparently, I think her tone was that whenever we use technology to solve a problem, it just does bad things. Because I think she used the example, we tried to use technology for the energy thing, and we got fracking. And I at the time I should have said, yeah, and technology also brings us geothermal, which pisses all over fracking and every other energy generation medium that we have created thus far, at least to my knowledge right now. I could have said that, but I didn't get around to it. But this is one thing that I've covered quite a few times in the past. The idea that technology is bad, and that it does really negative things, and that is really, as I've said time and time again, the only reason why we notice that technology is doing bad things is because we are applying technology in bad ways. We are using technology to do bad things, because we live in a paradigm which calls for us to create negative values, and thus we develop negative behavioral patterns, and because our values and beliefs inform our actions, and if we believe that it's our right to toxify this planet for profit, then we're going to do that, because there is a monetary and value incentive in toxifying the planet, all right? And technology is used as a tool in this process. Yes, I do admit that much. But technology is also responsible for, vertical aquaponic farming, geothermal energy, desalination. Oh, actually, sorry, this has just reminded me. I did bring up the example of desalination, and she actually brought up one point that I could not answer on the spot. I mean, she brought something new up that I hadn't considered, and that is, okay, you've got desalination, but what do you do with all the salt? And this is one thing that I haven't personally thought about. So, this is one thing that I need to research now. What does happen with all the salt? I mean, it might be an obvious answer that I just haven't absorbed. But just at that point, I was just like, you know what? I don't know. And it was brilliant because I had no reservations about saying I don't know. But yeah, essentially she was like saying that technology is bad, and I said to her that because she was listing off all these different bad things that technology does, and I was noticing a common thread in every single one. And as such, I just said to her, have you noticed that there's a commonality with all the examples that you give? Money. Yeah? Because, I mean, as I said before, technology is just a tool. It can be used for good things or it can be used for bad things. But that doesn't necessarily make technology itself good or bad. One example I've given in the past is a hammer is a piece of technology. It's not good nor bad because it can be used to kill and or destroy, or it can be used to build and or create. So there's no inherent good or badness of a piece of technology. Technology itself is not bad. It's the applications that it can be used for that can be bad. But I mean, shortly she's. I think because she said that it's down to human greed. Because whenever, normally whenever money comes into the situation, greed normally follows. And what was disappointing is that this woman claimed that greed is indicative of human nature. And I actually asked her, do you really believe that it's in our human nature to be greedy? And she said yes. So I asked her, what's the evidence for this? And she couldn't provide any. Because I said to her, where's the greed gene? I wasn't getting aggressive or anything. I was just like, saying, why do you think that it's human nature? I mean, surely, because I got her to define her terms. I actually said, do you mean human nature as in an unchangeable and immutable behavioural attribute that applies to every single human being without exception? And she said yes. and I'm just like, well, how come when we look at different people across the planet, we notice that there's a wide range of behaviours, wide range of values, wide range of beliefs. There's no universal to a particular behavioural attribute or belief or understanding or anything. There's no symmetry. There's no symmetry to it. It's almost like the environment shapes us into the people who we are. And I think from there she sort of realised, because this is something that I've experienced virtually every single time when I'm in the middle of the high street and I've been stopped by a charity worker or a fundraiser or a leafleter, and that is that because she was trying to give me the sale pitch for like the whole anti-Lego campaign that they've got going on right now. Because they even had like a guy in a big like polar bear outfit, like a big fluffy polar bear costume. I gave him a hug as well. They were good people. They were awesome people. But But yeah, I mean, it's just this sort of thing where she was trying to give the sales pitch, and she realised that I wasn't going to be hooking for it. And in fact, we were engaged in a voluntary discussion where, she was presenting a case that she could not substantiate. And I brought up because she said something to the effect of, well, how come how do you know that it's not that? Essentially that was the argument from ignorance fallacy, and it was either an argument from ignorance or a burden of proof fallacy, because she's the one who made the claim that it's in our human nature to be greedy, and she could not substantiate it. So really the only recourse for her, I think, in her mind, was to just end the conversation. So she was just like, well, I've got to move on to other people, and that was fine. It was cool that she talked with me for as long as she did. It's just a shame that she held that she might not hold it anymore, or she might still hold it. But I'm just going to assume that she still does, because I wouldn't presume that I could change her mind. Because really, it's up to her to make up her own mind, just like with all of us. But I mean, it's just a shame that when I spoke to her, she held a belief that was not supported by evidence, and when the question of where the evidence actually is, she couldn't provide it, so she had to sort of like, oh, okay, I've got to talk to other people. But I mean that was really the only down point of the day, really. But I mean, most of the people that I spoke to, it was really, really cool, because they were like really receptive. I even got talking to two police officers. And he was telling me about like some of the really awful stuff that happens around Nottingham. Because I mean, the night before, because I stayed over at my friend Christian's house, and he took me on a sort of historical guided tour around Nottingham town centre, and it was the first time I've been on a tram as well. So hey, but yeah, it's really I mean. I think around the outskirts of Nottingham town centre, it's like severely socioeconomically strapped. There's a lot of diverse culture there, but there's like 3 police stations that have closed down because they couldn't afford to keep them going or something. Fucking ridiculous, man. But anyway. But yeah, I got talking to the cops about my experience with the cops, and the fact that those two they were really, really nice. There was a man and a woman, and but yeah, they were really nice. But it's really awful to hear about the kinds of things that I mean, one thing I should have said. I mean, because I was so sort of engaged in the conversation and trying to believe, wow, is that really true that that all this stuff would happen? But one thing I should have said is that all these things, you should expect this sort of thing when you have a system that is based on money and the acquisition of resources at all costs, infinite growth, and thus a huge disparity between socioeconomic classes. I mean, the socioeconomic class of the average resident of Nottingham is so low that it's criminal. Why should people have to be that deprived? But anyway, not to go on too much of a tangent, but no, I mean, I was talking to the cops for so long that it was like 20 minutes to go before my talk, so I had to sort of run to the car and get the stuff, because I had some like DVDs and flyers and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the talk itself, it was really, really cool. I mean, we were just sat on the tarp, and I was just going through all the little things. I mean, the video itself, it will be up in a couple of days. So if you want to, then again, you might be listening to this way in the future, and the video would be very old. So you can just type in, becoming our own leaders, Pagan Pride, 2014, I think. I think that's what I called it. But yeah, I mean I sort of drew from quite a few different bits. I mean, there was like one of my podcasts that I previously did, the importance of being activist, and I sort of drew from some of that, because the conclusion of that is like virtually perfect to what I was actually talking about. But yeah, I was really disappointed when I reviewed the actual raw video, and it had actually stopped recording like towards the end of my talk, so I had to sort of put something on the end. Luckily, I'd recorded the audio separately as well, so I could just put that on the video as well. But yeah, it was very interesting hearing the responses of people that day, and considering that I was right on the very end of the speaker rota, as it were. I'd gone way over time, but because I was only supposed to have do 45 minutes, but I ended up talking for a little bit longer. But the cool thing about being on the end of the speakers rota is that I wouldn't have had anyone coming in after me and saying, "Come on, we've got to do our talk now. You're going over your time." So I mean, I was really appreciative of that. But no, I mean, overall, I mean that's really the whole day. It was really, really awesome. It just showed me that it is a good thing to sort of engage with people who are extensional to your kind of values. One thing that was also interesting, there was a guy who came to the talk towards the end. So I mean, understandably, there was some of it that he'd missed. But he made the claim that the Zeitgeist movement was funded by the New World Order. To which I just said, "Well, where's the evidence for that?" And he was like, "Well, some people have said some things," and I'm just like, "Well, that's not very reliable information," because really the burden of proof lies on the person making the claim. So I mean, belief can only be justified until it's supported by evidence. So really, you shouldn't believe that until you actually have evidence. But I mean, it was very interesting because he was saying about the New World Order and all this sort of thing. I mean, sometimes you always get there's always one that comes along with this conspiratorial thing. I mean, there's a guy who I talk to sometimes in Maidstone Town Centre, and he's very, very much conspiracy orientated, and he truly does believe that we're all doomed and that there's no hope for humanity. But so I can understand how debilitating such a belief can be, because here's the thing, right? If the New World Order whole thing was real, I mean, I've covered this whole thing before. I've devoted a whole episode to this. So if you want to hear what I have to say about it, just go listen to that. But no, it's just a little disheartening that we still have to deal with people who believe these sorts of things, who think that Alex Jones is talking sense, and which he sometimes is, but I wouldn't necessarily take everything he says with any sort of reliability at all. Because I mean, for one thing, Alex Jones does make money on what he does. He's constantly pushing his media and taking money from people, and really he's selling fear. And